Okay, we're recording. Do you see the record?
I didn't get the icon like I usually do, but if we're recording, that's good. I was just waiting. So we're on. We're
I just
going.
check this. Yeah, I think we're going.
Okay, good. Good. Well, let's just jump right into it. I mean, we're so thankful for everybody that contacts us, reaches out to us, asks the questions, viewing and learning from this podcast. Just we have off camera before we're starting, we were talking about just how much gratitude we have for this industry and how much gratitude we have for the individuals we get to work with and learn from. And, you know, as a whole, we're all trying to somehow carve out a living. I know there's a lot of hobby growers and things like that, but we're all kind of working as a whole to have a better life, to have better food, to have better whatever we want through the process of gardening. And so I'm just very thankful that all the farms and gardens and our customers and our viewers, everything. We have so much to be thankful for, and it is November, the thankful month. And I just thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about that which we are thankful for. And that, hold on, I got to turn my phone off here. I forgot. And I have to put my buddy Holly's on to be able to see what I'm doing. So anyway, yeah, we're so thankful, and I think it'd be fun just to trade, go back and forth on who, what, when, where, and why we're doing what we're doing, and why we're so thankful. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, there's probably going to be some science in there too, because
Oh
one of
yeah.
the things I'm thankful for is science. I get to, yeah, well, I'm so thankful that as a human being, I have the at least the capacity to have an appreciation of nature. That's something I've been thankful for my since my teenage years when I was walking in the hills behind my home. I got to see the complexity. I got to look at closely at the grass, the architecture of the smallest blades of grass. It was fascinating. The lichen, the colors that were coming out close up, and then seeing the whole picture in the woods and in the hills, and looking up at the village huddled between the lakes and, and the hills,
Mm-hmm.
and just appreciating how vast things are, and just being able to enjoy being alive and being grateful for being part of that the cycle of nature. That's something that I've never lost. There's times I've lost fortunes. I've not really. I never really had a fortune, but I lost money. I lost jobs. I, I lost my house. I lost everything I owned. But there's some things that I could always go back to, and that can never be taken away. Appreciation in my heart for.
Boy, that's a dang good point. Yeah, and if you're conscious about that, you see it every day. You can see that every day, and to know how everything works together and how everything's intertwined and the science behind it and all the science that we don't understand, but we see it take place,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, I'm thankful for that as well. Yeah, very good point. Yeah, I'm thankful to be able to do this with you and the relationship that we've had, a couple decades now, close to a couple decades. And I believe it or not, yeah, we got to be getting
Yeah,
close.
you're right. We're getting close.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay. I mean, time flies, right?
Time flies. Yeah, we're getting close. Yeah, thankful for all the other industry professionals that I get to work with, on a
Mm.
day-to-day basis. And one thing I have so much gratitude for is our customers, and the people that we're trying to do our best to help, them in their operations and their families and their farms and things like that. So every day it's so fun because every day I get to wake up and look at all our orders, okay, our online orders. And we're to the point now, we've been doing this since, 2003, 2004. And to personally look who's ordering and know that I've spoken with them, or, oh, they're ordering again, or, you know, so on and so forth. We'll pick up a call. We'll pick up the phone and call them and say, thank you. We got this new thing. Would you like to try some of that? We'll throw it in the box. And just the relationships we have with so many of our customers, it's astounding. Very thankful for that. It's fun. This is a lot of fun helping them. They're helping us. We're all, teammates. We're all part of a big team.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I'm so glad that for the people in my path, the people that introduced me to hydroponics. That was
Oh
over
yeah.
30 years ago. Over 30 years ago. Talk about decades, 30 some years. And that was just somebody answered the phone. I was making some cold calls. Had been doing video production on science and technology ish topics.
Uh huh.
And I just was doing cold calls, and someone answered the phone from uh, from a hydroponics store in East Lansing. I got to do my first. He hired me to do a video on introduction to hydroponics for schools, and that led to a whole career.
Isn't that
So,
amazing?
yeah, and they taught me. I mean, I was being taught by some of the world's experts, just like what you're talking about. The people from Australia, chemists from Australia, from big companies in the UK, getting to go to taking trips to the Netherlands and seeing what was being done there, in the on the cutting edges of science, meeting and talking to some of the same microbiologists that you and I both know that are the best in the country, if not
Yeah.
among the top in the world, teaching us what they spent 30 years learning. So how great is that?
Yeah.
It's not like I just went down the usual path and read the book and passed a test. I've been being taught by others that have knowledge that is priceless. Let's put it that, in my opinion, is priceless. Yeah, it's valuable, but at the same time, it's priceless because it's a foundation to help make the whole world a better place. I benefit from their knowledge, and how many people listening today are benefiting from mine and yours
Hmm.
knowledge that they can pass on when they get the experience.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. Along those same lines too. Same course of action for myself. I'm so grateful and thankful for the old timer, my dad. He
Oh
kind of
yeah.
laid the foundation when we were really, really young, and he could see right away that he used to tell all of us boys, he's like, boy, I taught you guys everything I know, and you guys just took off with it. And he's always willing to tell us that. But not only just knowledge of the soil and farming and things like that, but knowledge of doing what's best, being a good steward, doing the right thing, standing up for what you believe because you're right. We back in the 70s, when he was preaching soil life and
Hmm.
biology and all this stuff, no one was thinking about that, Harley. Nobody was thinking about that. I mean, NPK was still working so good. They didn't have any of these weird diseases. And, you planted some seeds, threw on some fertilizer, and boom, you got a good bumper crop, right? And, it didn't,
Hmm.
it only took, you know, 15 years of that before the soil started to suffer. And we had to start thinking about biology. So he was way ahead of his time. Very thankful for that.
Yeah, I've been I've been wanting to meet him for years.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things on my wish list. You
Yeah.
know, for the future is being able to talk to him and hear some stories.
Hmm.
From some of the pioneers in this industry that were ahead of their time, and just how how this all came to be, and some of the knowledge that they wanted to pass on, some of the little aha moments
Right.
in their life experience,
Exactly.
and some of the advice, some of the wisdom from the people that have been there and done it. So that's on my list. I'm glad, and you're lucky because you got to grow up with it. I'm lucky in some ways with that too, because my father, my old timer, who's 88 years old right now, uh, he was a high school biology teacher.
Oh, wow. I
And
didn't
I
know
got,
that.
Yeah, he was in high school biology. He was a coach. He was an athlete. I don't know what happened to me there, but I got some of it. Um, but I had him for advanced biology in high school, and he was able to get me thinking. And he was encouraging not so much, okay, here's the knowledge you need to pass the test. He would ask questions. Well, why do you think the leaves turn color? Oh, okay, you think it's because of the temperature. Well, what about the temperature? What are the parts of the tree turn color first? Hmm, you know, that was to me really good teaching because he made us think, he made us curious, he made us test our own ideas, and he wasn't just there to tell us the answer. He was there to help us ask the right questions and continue to do them. And I've always appreciated that. So, and I still, when I go up and visit him, I visited him last weekend. Yeah, we were talking about photosynthesis, and we were talking about how the enzymes worked and how specific they were and how amazing it is. How could you not believe in God? As a scientist, that kind of thing.
Oh, good point. Yeah, that what a great conversation. Yeah, you should have recorded that. I bet that was fun.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that for my mother because she encouraged asking questions too when I was young. For my father because he gave me some momentum with that, especially with the science. And then here I am, years later, being a biologist. Hey,
Yeah,
Dad, I'm a biologist. Hey, Dad, I guess I am a chemist. I got
yeah,
paid for doing chemistry. That makes me a chemist, right?
yeah. That's fantastic, phenomenal. And boy, you talk about you were ahead of your time too. I think you talk about this a lot going to the Europe and the Netherlands and seeing how far advanced they were in the biostimulants and the biology and things like that. And to be honest, you're one of those pioneers, right? You're Billy, you brought that message back and you've been preaching it for a long time. You probably had those circumstances too where people probably thought you were crazy. You want to include yucca in that? You want to, humates and fulvics and things like that. It just, people weren't talking about that.
Yeah, I tell you what, talk about being behind in this country. I went to an agriculture, I'm not going to say the name because I don't want it to get, you know, slam any university, because they're there and they're
Yeah.
good, they do their job. But years ago, early on in my career, when I was working with schools, I was setting up hydroponics labs in two-thirds of all the agriculture programs in the state of Michigan, hydroponics. I go to campus, a college campus, they literally threw me off campus just for talking a little bit about hydroponics with a teacher. I wasn't even there. I wasn't talking to students. I was just there talking to another professor, and I got thrown off campus. And one of the guys that was doing the organics, which I appreciate even more now, but he said, yeah, if I said, well, I'm just out there, setting up hydroponics labs, talking to the kids about the future and about hydroponics and some of those skills. He says, oh, and that professor said, well, if you're out there talking about the benefits of hydroponics, I'm going to go out there and tell them not to do it.
Wow.
And that was 30 years ago. And I said, why? Why am I being persecuted here for trying to do good, trying to bring the technology to this country to create jobs, to improve the productivity, especially for urban agriculture. But in some ways, that just gave me more impetus to reach out to those that were willing to hear.
Yeah.
Sometimes you were ahead of your time because you have a message, you have good news, but people aren't ready to hear it.
Yeah. You're probably scraping away at, some weird funding source they got to teach something else.
Hmm.
Anyway, I'm just throwing ideas out there. Yeah, that's terrible. And one beautiful thing about this industry too is when you find that person that knows it all, run the opposite direction because nobody knows it all. We talk about this all the time. I mean, you're still reading those huge science books. I'm still experiencing like phenomenons every day that it's just like, wow, what happened? What can we learn from this? And I'm the first one to say that, when someone asks me a question, I can say, I don't know, but I can talk to people in my wheelhouse and we'll come up with the best idea we can get. And so I think a lot of that pushback comes from people that know it all.
Yeah. Yeah. He had a philosophy, and that philosophy was so strong that it just kept getting narrower and narrower and narrower. This is the way, there's no other way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not true. And I wasn't that way. I was always open minded because that's how I was brought up. I was brought up to be open minded and to
Yeah.
look at different points of view and ask questions and to have doubts, free to have doubts about what I believe so that I could find something maybe better.
Mm-hmm.
But even when I started out with hydroponics, I'd learned plants are autotrophic. All they need is light and temperature, and 12 at that time, um, 12 is 12 essential, or what was it? Back then it was 16 essential elements. So, okay, that's it. That's all they need. They can do everything they need. It wasn't until later I found out, okay, they need those essential elements, but plants and microorganisms have co-evolved. So they don't need the microorganisms, but if the but the microorganisms help the plants thrive, help them reach their genetic potential because they were here first and they learned how to cooperate with plants. So I've changed along the way. I've become more open-minded toward the biology, toward the organics, especially toward the organic biostimulants, the small organic molecules which aid with the uptake of water and nutrients, high brix plants. So I did the experiments and said, okay, yeah, minerals are important, but it's not the whole story. Organics are important, but it's not the whole story.
Yeah.
And even putting the two together, for what I know, it's not the whole story. It's just the beginning of the story. We're
Yeah.
in chapter 1, page 2.
That's right. That's right. That's fun. I can't remember the exact title, but this book was written a long time ago. I'm sure you read it or know who it is, but I think it was called The Art of Soilless Tomatoes or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yeah, by Rush.
Yeah. And so, that book was kind of one of my first real exposures to that, to hydroponics. And can you imagine, with what we've learned now and what we know now, what that book would be like written today? Or if you did something similar, it'd look a lot different because it was discussing the topics that you just brought up. Here are the minerals, this is what they need, this is how you do it. And I mean, and it's a very good book, very educational, very informative. But look at all the things we've learned since that was written and distributed to the early people in this industry. Really neat to kind of revisit that and just say, oh yeah, that's true. However, we can accelerate that by doing XYZ as well. That'd be a good
Hmm.
topic. That's neat. And that kind of brings me up our next episode too. We're going to talk about, preparing for winter and doing an indoor garden personally for yourself, or, it's a good time of year for that. So we can apply a lot of the principles that was in that early book to a lot of the principles that we've learned here. And that'll be a good discussion for next episode.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's one of the things I'm thankful for is not just being able to have a career in hydroponics, but being introduced to the hobby of
Mm-hmm.
gardening. You're in Arizona right now. You got away for the winter. That's nice. You can grow outdoor. There's sunshine. There's good temperatures day and night. Here in Michigan, it's still okay, you
Yeah.
know. But in the winter, it's not okay. For there's no, it's gray on gray. It's already starting to get there. The leaves are almost all falling, but full spectrum light, fruit on the vine, aromatic herbs, little oasis of life. The quality of the food, picking tomatoes right off the vine, cutting herbs, fresh herbs when they're still alive and adding them to my salads or to my seafood fettuccine Alfredo. So I'd like to talk next week, or maybe we can both, about the joy of indoor gardening, and it doesn't have to be that expensive either. Just one light, one good grow light, one little oscillating fan, and some room temperature. You just have that, maybe a small hydroponic system, or even some soil,
Yeah.
and you can have a garden.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm yeah,
So,
I'm thankful I'm thankful for that too. And as a matter of fact, when we never know when we're going to be able to escape or come to a warmer climate in the winter. So when we do, it's one of the first things we do. We have some containers, we put some seeds down, and we start producing all of our greens, our lettuce and our herbs and chives and things like that because it's really easy. And when the temperature is perfect, that thing, it grows so fast. And so yeah, I'm very, very thankful for that. And I'm very, very thankful for, again, all our customers and our farmers that I really feel the gratitude, and I'm so honored to be able to help them figure things out or help, guide them in a particular direction or help them out with a problem. And just to see how thankful they are in return. Yeah, this is such a fun industry to be involved with. And, and it's, in some aspects, it's slowing down. There's a lot of changes going on. And in the hydroponic industry, so, and I think it's really, really condensing down uh, to uh, your network, the network that the network that you work with, the things like that. And I'm thankful for those networks out there. Like, you're part of my network. I'm sure you have a network, but growers have their network too. So let's keep doing that. Let's keep, keeping that tight and growing together and learning from each other through our networks.
sounds good.
Yes,
I
sir.
hope you have a good Thanksgiving. One of part of the network, one of my students right now is turns out he's local. I have students right online all over the world, literally, um, but he's less than 15 miles from my house, and he and his wife invited me to their house this morning. Invited me over for Thanksgiving. Now
Ah,
I already have an invitation, my, for family, so I'm good there. But and they even said, even if you can't come for Thanksgiving, we'd like to keep an open invitation to you any Friday or Saturday night you'd like to come over. You're welcome. You have an open invitation for dinner. Now that's nice. Here I am. I lost my wife this year, but I have people that are reaching out to me, which is
mhm.
pretty intense, pretty heartwarming.
Oh, congratulations. That sounds good. Yeah, and we just need to keep developing our networks. And
Hmm.
yeah, with people we like, with people that, understand us, we understand there. And yeah, I'm very thankful for those relationships. So, boy, that sounds like a pretty good deal. I'm glad they would do that.
Yeah, I like having local students. There are some perks.
Fantastic. Um, so, are you going north for the holidays for Thanksgiving then?
No, so my sister lives not that far away, kind of in
Okay, good.
central Michigan. And it turns out my father from up north is coming down here, down to her house for Thanksgiving this year. So we're kind of meeting in the middle.
Okay, good. Well, that sounds fantastic. Well, I'm thankful we take the time to do this. I can't wait for next week already. We got a nice topic that we can talk about. And well, I'll just keep learning and sharing information together.
Okay. All right. Guess I'll see you next time.
Okay, thanks,
But
Harley.
again, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, same to you. Yeah, from all of us. Take care.